everyone, my name is Beth Wood and I'm the Sensible Nutrition Educator with the University of Wyoming in Goshen and Niobrara counties. Today I want to show you how to make some yummy peach bran muffins. Before we get started though, anytime we are in the kitchen and cooking or baking or preparing food, whether it's just for yourself, maybe your family, friends, whatever the case, you need to wash your hands. Warm water and soap. You want to scrub your hands for at least 20 seconds, sing your ABCs, sing happy birthday twice. Make sure to get in between your fingers, backs of your hands, and your wrists. Dry those off. Okay, so before you get started with any cooking or baking recipe, you always want to check and see if your oven needs to be preheated. And for this muffin recipe, we need to heat the oven to 400 degrees. So I have already turned the oven on and it is ready to go for the sake of time for this video. I just set it at 400 so that it's ready to go for us. The next step is to mix all of our ingredients together. Today I have pre-measured the majority of our ingredients, again, to save time. Not something you need to do at home. I will walk you through kind of some tips though to help you when measuring ingredients. So it says to combine the flour, bran, sugar, baking soda, and baking powder. So I'm just going to use a regular bowl and a whisk. Calls for whole wheat flour. Whole wheat is super important. And I just pre-measured our 1 1/4 cup. So I'm going to pour it into my big bowl and set that bowl aside. Then it calls for bran. I happen to like this cereal, so I had it on hand, but because they are little O's, I crushed it up. I tried the old school way, and I tried using my rolling pin in a bag, but they just didn't kind of crush very well, so I went ahead and used the food processor so that I could get a nice, soft, crushed look. As you can see, it's now powdered. It kind of looks like graham cracker crust crumbles. I'm also going to put this in the bowl as well and set that bowl aside. The next thing it calls for is sugar, and we need 1/6 of a cup. And I don't know about you, but I don't have a 1/6 cup measuring cup in my house. The smallest I had was a 1/4, so I went ahead and looked it up, and 1/6 of a cup is about 2.6 tablespoons of sugar. So I went ahead and again measured that sugar out, and I'm going to add it to our mixture here. The next thing it says is to add the baking soda. So I'm going to grab my baking soda, and we need 1 teaspoon. I'm going to go 1 teaspoon. Okay. I just stick it in the box, and what's neat about baking soda is you just use the top of your box to level your spoon off, and then it is even. So I'm going to add that in there and set my baking soda aside. Then it says to also add the baking powder, and I just have some regular old baking powder, nothing fancy. And again, baking powder cans usually have a lip here so that it is easier to level your spoon. And this calls for 2 teaspoons, so same measurement, but I'm going to do it twice. And this would be far too much, so if you use the edge of your can, you can scrape it off evenly. And there's 1. And I'm going to get a second one. Again, just use the edge of my can, scrape it off, make sure my spoon is level. And plop that in the bowl. I'll set both of these aside now. We don't want to mix it so fast that we spill the bowl. We just want to mix it all together, as these are our dry ingredients. Okay. Once everything is mixed, it should kind of be a light brown powder. It kind of looks like sand if you've ever been to the beach. That's what it reminds me of. Sometimes this time of year we go to Myrtle Beach. Super wishing I could be there this year, but my daughter came first as we had county fair. Okay, we're going to move on to the second step, and it says to add the yogurt, egg, and vanilla extract. And we're going to stir it into the dry ingredients. So we're going to start with the yogurt, and it calls for 1 cup. And again, I pre-measured this out. So I'm going to take my spatula, and I want to make sure I get all that yogurt out of this bowl since I went ahead and measured it ahead of time. I'm just going to scrape that out. And I got a fat-free plain vanilla yogurt. If you prefer a honey yogurt or something that's more your style, I'm sure you could trade that off. I just wanted to go with a fat-free, healthy option, just because that's what sounded yummy today. Okay, next I'm going to add the egg. In any recipe I ever make, I always crack my egg in a separate bowl, just in case your egg is bad. You never know just by looking at the shell. So I went ahead and cracked my egg, and it's good to go. So I'm also going to add it into the mixing bowl. And again, setting this aside. It's very important when you crack eggs that you wash your hands. You don't want any cross-contamination and any germs that may hurt you. So I had already went ahead and cracked that ahead of time and washed my hands for safety. Then I'm going to add the vanilla extract, and it calls for 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And I just have regular, imitation vanilla extract. And I'm going to pour it over one of these bowls I used earlier, just in case I spill over. And I did, and that's okay. And then I'm going to put the teaspoon into my bowl. I'll set these here so I can wash them later. Okay, now I'm going to mix this up really, really well. I want to make sure I break the yolk up. And sometimes the spatula works, or maybe you need to use the whisk. I'm going to try with the spatula here and see if that'll get the job done. Okay, I'm going to switch to the whisk for a second. I'm just going to scrape that extra off of my spatula. Just give it one more little stir here. Okay, the next one says to fold in the peaches. And the peach, when we get it out, we want to make sure we peel the stickers off, and then we want to rinse it off as well. I'm just going to rinse it with some cold water. I'm going to use a fruit and vegetable brush just to kind of clean it off from any hazards that may be on the peach from the store. I'm going to shake it off a little bit. And then we are going to dice it up. Now, for those of you that don't know, there is a nut in the side of the peach, and if you kind of cut it in half, you can get the peach out of there, or get the pit out of there, excuse me. I'm just going to slice my peaches into small, bite-sized. All I'm doing is holding the fruit, being careful, and pushing directly down with my knife. Peaches are in season right now. August happens to be peach month. Sometimes when they're out of season, you can get canned peaches, but that has added sugar in the syrup, so you can always rinse those off. Okay. And again with this side, same thing. I'm just making small slices and then going to dice it up into bite-sized pieces. Okay, so they're all into bite-sized pieces, and now I'm going to put it into the mixture. Then I'm going to mix this as well. Okay, now we're going to put it into our muffin pan. But before we put it into our muffin pan, we want to use some non-cook spray and coat our muffin pan. And you just want to make sure you get the edges and the bottom pretty decently so that your muffins come out nice. there we go. Now I'm going to add the mixture into my tin. I want to fill the cups about 3/4 of the way full. I'm going to use these with school starting. I'm going to be able to pop them in the freezer and then I can pull them out in the mornings before school and my kiddos can eat them on their way to school, or I can put them in their lunches. Okay, those look pretty good. I'm going to be careful with this hand. Got 3/4 of the way full. I'm going to put them in the oven on the middle rack. And I'm going to set my timer for 16 minutes. And then while they are cooking in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and clean up my ingredients and my utensils, and then we will check the muffins when they are ready. They've got a nice golden brown color, and I'm just going to use a toothpick. You want the toothpick to come out clean. And I usually check 2 of the muffins, and they both came out clean. And I'm just going to use my towel as a pot holder this evening. As you can see, they've got a nice golden brown color. So I'm going to let them cool for a couple minutes, and then we will take them out of the pan so they can cool a little bit further as well. All right, now that our muffins have cooled down just a little bit, I'm going to show you how to remove them from the muffin pan, because we didn't use muffin or cupcake cups. We used a nonstick spray. So all I got was just your regular old butter knife. And I'm just going to go around the edge of the muffin just to make sure it doesn't stick. You don't want it to leave any yumminess in the tin. And then you should be able just to pop it right out. I'll do another one. Okay. So there is our peach bran muffins. Let's see what they taste like. I'm going to cut one in half just to see what it looks like. There's no peaches right in the middle, but it kind of reminds me of similar to banana bread. All right. Bueno. Thanks for joining us again. I'm Beth Wood with the Sensible Nutrition Program with the University of Wyoming. Join us again.